You're not going to believe this, but after Game 3 of the WNBA Finals, the entire Phoenix Mercury didn't just lose, they detonated. What happened on that court wasn't a defeat. It was an implosion, a complete emotional meltdown broadcast live for the world to see. And leading the collapse was none other than DeWanna Bonner, who decided that instead of owning her team's disaster, she'd take her frustration out on, you guessed it, Caitlyn Clark and the Indiana Fever fans? That's right. The one player not even in the building somehow became the target of Bonner's rage. Because apparently, when your team faceplants in front of a half-empty arena, the logical next move is to blame the only player who made people care about your sport in the first place. Bonner's post-game rant was the kind of irony that feels almost poetic. She stood there, furious, claiming Fever fans were bullying her, while the scoreboard behind her told a very different story. The Mercury got bullied by reality. It's hard to overstate just how embarrassing this was. Bonner's rant didn't come after a tough-fought thriller or a controversial call. It came after a finals game that failed to sell out despite ticket prices cheaper than a drive-thru combo meal. That's not a joke, that's the reality of the so-called pinnacle of women's basketball. You could literally watch the best the WNBA had to offer for less than it costs to fill a gas tank. And the worst part? This isn't some one-off fluke or random dip in attendance. It's a pattern. Every single game of these finals has had unsold seats, gaping holes in the stands that no camera angle could hide. The supposed crown jewel of the league, the matchup meant to prove women's basketball had looked like it was being hawked at a clearance rack sale, and fans are walking right past it. The WNBA spent an entire year bragging about record ratings, historic growth, and booming popularity. But the second the finals arrived, that entire illusion cracked like glass. The numbers tell a story that no PR team can spin. The hype was smoke, and now the wind's blown it away. Ticket sales didn't just drop. They cratered. The momentum the league bragged about all season evaporated faster than Caitlyn Clark on a fast break with 3 defenders and no whistle. It's wild, almost unbelievable. Game 3 of the finals, and tickets were selling for as low as $10. $10! That's not resale. That's face value. You heard it right. For the cost of a single drive-thru meal, you could walk into the WNBA Finals. Think about that for a second. Game 3, Phoenix, Arizona. A city that sells out concerts, boxing, UFC fights, even rodeos. Yet the biggest event of the WNBA calendar couldn't even fill the lower bowl. Cheapest ticket. $10, lower bowl. $25 courtside behind the bench. $90, second row. Maybe $130 if you're feeling fancy. Parking for a UFC fight in the same arena costs more than sitting courtside for the WNBA Finals. That's not growth. That's humiliation. And this is the league that's been screaming for months about being in its strongest era ever. Please, when your championship game is competing with movie matinee prices, you're not thriving. You're surviving. It gets worse. Those same seats, those exact same seats, during an Indiana Fever matchup earlier this season sold for 5 to 10 times the price. You wanted courtside when Caitlyn Clark was playing. You were shelling out $2,000 minimum. But now the so-called finals can't even get $500 for a front row spot. Behind the basket. $300, and even that's struggling to sell. And this isn't some shady resale website situation, this is face value. The WNBA itself can't even give away tickets to its own championship. You mean to tell me Caitlyn Clark's Nike signature tee costs more than these finals tickets? Because it does. That's not sarcasm. That's reality. 4-time MVP A'ja Wilson, arguably the league's best player, can't even draw a $50 ticket price in the finals. That's how far the product has fallen. And before anyone starts making excuses, oh, Phoenix fans just don't care, stop it. This is a city that sells out everything. If a local high school football team was in the championship, people would be lined up around the block. The problem isn't Phoenix. The problem is nobody cares about this matchup. The Las Vegas Aces versus Phoenix Mercury Finals has all the appeal of a corporate team-building exercise. Outside of hardcore fans, there's zero excitement. The casual audience, the one Caitlyn Clark brought in, checked out the second she wasn't on the court. That's the league's biggest nightmare made real. Because without Caitlyn Clark, the WNBA flatlines. When Clark played, tickets disappeared in hours. You couldn't even find a resale for under $200. Every city she stepped into turned into a mini Super Bowl. Crowds, cameras, celebrities, sold out arenas. She was the show. But now, no Caitlyn, no crowd. It's that simple. The Clark effect wasn't hype. It was the heartbeat. And the second she was gone, the league went cold. The finals are proof of what fans have been whispering all year. The WNBA's growth isn't organic. It's borrowed. Built on one player who carried the entire sport into the mainstream. Caitlyn Clark wasn't just a star. She was the story. She sold jerseys, filled arenas, spiked ratings, and made brands care. Without her, the WNBA goes back to being what it's always been, a niche sideshow pretending to be a movement. Yet Commissioner Cathy Engelbert has the audacity to keep touring the media circuit, smiling, bragging about how strong the league is. Strong, please. If this is strength, then a sandcastle in high tide is a fortress. When your finals tickets cost less than bowling, you've got a crisis, not a celebration. The data doesn't lie. When tickets first went on sale, upper-level seats were around $50. Within a week, they dropped 20%. By game night, lower bowl seats were under $60. That's not accessibility. That's desperation. People are spending more money streaming the game at home than it costs to attend in person. It's a PR nightmare, the kind that undoes a year of bragging in a single weekend. You can't spend months thumping your chest about record growth and then fail to sell $10 finals tickets. None of those flashy Nike partnerships or ESPN promos matter when your broadcast pans across half-empty seats on national television. And that's the real story. The one Cathy Engelbert won't touch. Because you can fake headlines, but you can't fake butts in seats. Either fans show up or they don't. And right now, they're not. The scoreboard says it all. Empty stands. Silent crowds. Awkward camera cuts trying to hide rows of emptiness. The finals atmosphere feels less like a championship and more like a preseason scrimmage. Even worse, the matchup itself is lifeless. There's no drama, no fire, no emotional stakes. Just Bonner scowling, blaming Caitlyn Clark for her own team's collapse. And pretending she's part of some larger storyline of league unity. It's flat, predictable, forgettable. The Mercury play uninspired basketball. The Aces are coasting and the fans are tuning out in real time. It's the most unwatchable finals product in years, maybe ever. And yet Engelbert stands there smiling like this is some kind of triumph. She's out here claiming the WNBA has never been stronger, while her finals look like a clearance sale. Bonner's post-game meltdown only made it worse. Instead of taking responsibility, she went on a tirade claiming that the league had lost real fans because of media. It's obsession with Caitlyn Clark. Translation: she's mad people stopped pretending to care about her team once the Fever were eliminated. It's insecurity dressed up as moral outrage. Bonner's been in the league for over a decade, but suddenly, Clark's the reason she feels overlooked. Please. Without Caitlyn Clark, Bonner wouldn't even have a finals to complain about. It's delusion disguised as integrity. Even players are quietly admitting it now. This finals has no spark. The magic's gone. The buzz, the anticipation, the electricity that followed the Indiana Fever earlier this season is nowhere to be found. When Caitlyn Clark was on the floor, every game mattered. You could feel the tension, the energy, the sense of history. Fans lined up hours before tip-off. Reporters jostled for sound bites. Kids showed up with handmade signs. It felt big, but now, it feels like the power's been cut. These finals are dull, hollow, and forgettable. The cruel truth is this: the WNBA had everything handed to them. A superstar, a storyline, a movement. and they squandered it. They didn't nurture the momentum. They exploited it. They didn't protect Caitlyn Clark. They let her get hacked, targeted, and mocked. Every ignored foul, every dirty play, every tone-deaf interview chipped away at the goodwill she created. Fans noticed. They remembered. And now, with Clark sidelined, they're showing their frustration the only way that matters, by walking away. So here we are. Game 3 of the WNBA Finals. Empty seats. $10 tickets. A commissioner in denial. And a player in meltdown mode, blaming everyone but herself. It's not just a bad look, it's an existential crisis. The WNBA spent all year patting itself on the back, only to end the season facing the one truth it's too scared to say out loud. Without Caitlyn Clark, there is no show. The lights might be on, but nobody's watching. The WNBA can keep spinning headlines, but the stands don't lie when Caitlyn Clark's not in the picture. Spot goes out, and all that's left is the echo of a league that lost its own momentum. Let's not sugarcoat it. The so-called greatest season in WNBA history has turned into one of the most embarrassing collapses the league has ever seen. The finals are supposed to be a celebration, a showcase of everything right with women's basketball. Instead, it's a slow-motion car crash happening live on national TV, and everyone's pretending not to see it. The WNBA has spent the entire year drowning in its own self-congratulation. Every press release, every ESPN segment, every media appearance from Commissioner Cathy Engelbert has been one long victory lap about record ratings, historic attendance, unprecedented momentum. But now that the finals have arrived, that illusion is cracking faster than glass under pressure. Ticket sales haven't dipped, they've cratered. The buzz vanished the moment Caitlyn Clark stopped playing. And the so-called momentum the league kept bragging about has turned into silence, so loud you can hear it echo through the empty seats. It's the contradiction the league refuses to face. The WNBA doesn't have a popularity problem. It has a credibility problem. Because when you tell fans you're booming, but your finals look like an underfunded preseason scrimmage, the lie becomes impossible to hide. $10 tickets, $20 lower bowls, $90 courtside seats. It's pathetic. For a league that claims to be growing, the optics couldn't be worse. Even parking at a Phoenix Suns game costs more than the best seats in the house for the championship of the WNBA. And when fans see that, they stop believing the PR. They start realizing the growth they were promised is smoke and mirrors built on one woman's back. Caitlyn Clark's during her rookie run. She single-handedly turned the WNBA into must-watch TV. Every arena she touched sold out. Every game was a headline. Every broadcast broke records. But the moment the league's referees, executives, and jealous veterans decided to turn her rise into a witch hunt, they broke the one thing they couldn't afford to lose: trust. Fans saw it. They saw the cheap shots that went uncalled. They saw the dirty plays brushed off by analysts. They saw the silence from leadership while Clark was targeted night after night. And now they're making their voices heard. The only way that matters? By walking away. Empty seats are louder than boos. That's what makes this finals such a disaster. The fans didn't vanish because of the teams. They vanished because the league betrayed its own audience. They were sold a dream about growth and equality, but what they got was politics, favoritism, and hypocrisy. Cathy Engelbert spent more time defending the league's image than defending its integrity. Instead of protecting the player who made her league relevant, she let jealousy run the locker rooms and bias control the whistles. The result: the sport's biggest moment is happening in arenas that look half full. And fans are roasting the WNBA online like it's a comedy show. Everywhere you look, social media is brutal. Screenshots of unsold seats, resale pages covered in blue dots. Comments flooding with memes comparing finals tickets to fast food meals. People aren't mocking the sport, they're mourning it. Because deep down, everyone knows it didn't have to be this way. This finals should have been a coronation. The first year of the Caitlyn Clark era should have ended with her leading the Fever into battle against the Aces in a must-see rematch. Instead, It's a hollow showdown between two teams no one outside of hardcore circles cares about. Propped up by PR spin and fake smiles. And while fans check out, Engelbert still shows up on camera with that same robotic grin, saying things like the league's never been in a stronger position. Stronger, please. When your championship game can't fill the first 5 rows, strength isn't the word. The truth is, this finals is exposing everything the WNBA's been hiding behind its marketing campaigns. The reality is brutal. The league has built an empire of buzz, not belief. And buzz without substance always dies fast. When Caitlyn Clark was in the picture, she was the narrative. Every fan, every camera, every sponsor followed her. She made people care. But instead of embracing that, the league tried to control it. Instead of letting her success lift everyone, they let egos tear it down. They treated her popularity like a threat instead of a blessing. And that's the fatal mistake that led to this disaster. Because now that she's not on the floor, the WNBA has no storyline left to tell. The finals aren't just struggling, they're invisible. The league keeps pointing fingers at everyone but itself. Fans are sexist. Media coverage is unfair. The economy's bad. No, the truth is simpler. People stopped showing up because the WNBA stopped giving them a reason to. It's not about gender. It's about quality. It's about authenticity. Caitlyn Clark gave fans something real, a competitor who played with passion, skill, and fire. She wasn't corporate. She wasn't scripted. She was raw, fearless, and unapologetic. She felt real, and that's what people connected to. But the league doesn't seem to understand that authenticity sells better than any PR slogan. What's even more tragic is how this collapse affects the players who actually deserve better. Players who work hard, who bring energy, who want to grow the game. They're the ones paying for Engelbert's delusion. Because empty seats don't just hurt pride, they hurt paychecks. Sponsorships shrink. Broadcast deals weaken. Negotiations over salaries lose leverage. The league's entire argument for bigger player contracts rests on growth. But how can they argue for raises when finals tickets cost less than lunch? The timing couldn't be worse. The Players' Union is preparing for major talks about salaries, benefits, and revenue sharing. But after this finals, the owners and networks have all the ammo they need. They'll say, if your best season ever can't sell out the finals, why should we pay more? It's cruel, but it's reality. Engelbert's obsession with spin has put her players in a weaker position than ever before. Instead of building sustainable growth, she built a bubble and it just popped. Meanwhile, the faces of the finals, Bonner and Wilson, aren't helping. Bonner's meltdown after Game 3 made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Instead of showing leadership, she blamed Caitlyn Clark and her fans for toxic behavior. Translation, she's angry that people moved on from her. It's the same bitter energy that's haunted the league all season. Envy over excellence. The veterans can't stand that Clark's spotlight is brighter than theirs, so they attack her instead of rising to her level. It's the oldest story in sports. Jealousy killing progress. And A'ja Wilson, as talented as she is, can't save this finals alone. Her dominance should be the talk of the town, but it's not. Because fans aren't emotionally invested in this matchup. There's no spark, no rivalry, no edge. The WNBA has built a product where competition feels sterile and scripted, where the league's biggest stars spend more time defending their legacy in interviews than proving it on the court, and the audience is tired of it. Even ESPN seems to have given up. The broadcasts feel hollow, the commentary robotic, the energy dead. Every camera pan reveals more empty seats. Every highlight reel feels forced. You can sense the production crew struggling to make the finals look full. And no matter how hard they try, the truth leaks through the screen. Fans aren't buying it anymore. What makes it all worse is that it didn't have to be like this. Caitlyn Clark gave the WNBA the keys to the kingdom. All they had to do was embrace it, protect her, promote her, build around her. She was the one thing that united old fans, new fans, families, casual viewers, even NBA fans. She brought a once niche league into mainstream conversation. She gave women's basketball its biggest moment in decades. But instead of celebrating that, the league let personal egos and insecure narratives destroy the momentum. They couldn't stand that the face of their league wasn't one of their chosen veterans. So here we are, the league's biggest stage, and it feels like a ghost town. The empty seats are more honest than any press release, because those seats tell the story that Engelbert and her marketing team refused to admit. The WNBA's historic growth was never about the league. It was about Caitlyn Clark. She was the heartbeat, the headline, the hero. And now that she's gone, there's nothing left but silence. Social media is flooded with jokes, but underneath the laughter is anger, disappointment from fans who genuinely wanted the WNBA to win. They wanted this to be the year women's basketball broke through for real. They wanted this finals to be a symbol of progress. Instead, it's a symbol of what happens when arrogance outweighs gratitude. The WNBA didn't just